questions.
Yes.
What about from the son's point of view? You know,
Son's point of view.
yeah, like because you don't have the father figure.
Do you remember your mom breaking down?
Yeah, I do. I think
Did it scare you?
I love I'm in the hot seat now also. Because I realize I'm the child, right? Then you're all are the...
3 against 1.
Someone wise told me that you can't have bad conversation around good food, and I agree. Over the next few weeks, I'm going to be having dinners with strangers who have found themselves in places they never expected to be. Okay, thanks for joining everybody. Today's topic is very close to home, so before I start crying into the dinner, I think we'll go easy, okay? Today you can tell us which neighborhood in Singapore you grew up in and what was it like. And then you can tell us your job eventually, while we start eating, okay? Yeah, okay, so please enjoy.
I guess I have to begin first.
Okay, sure.
Yeah. Okay, I'm Wayne.
Hi, Wayne.
I grew up in a village actually.
Ah.
Yeah. Back in my days, it's actually a kampong.
Okay.
Lim Chu Kang. Yeah, it's no longer
Is it north or west?
west.
Okay, west. Don't even know where you
Where would it be now?
Yeah, now it's very much like a agriculture kind of area.
Yeah, please eat everyone. Yeah.
So childhood day was playing with mud, marbles, tops, spinning tops, lighting
You
up.
really don't look that old, dare I say the word. Yeah, you look
thank
very
you.
young.
Thank
I
you.
didn't imagine you grown up. Okay,
Yeah,
got it.
I live it. I mean, I lived in kampong for about 15 years until I was Sec 3.
Okay.
Catching spiders,
Oh, fun.
making our own kites, flying kites, catching
boy.
tadpoles and all this.
Boy, okay.
Yeah, I am,
and then what do you do now for
Uh,
your occupation?
basically, I teach us photography in schools.
Oh,
Yeah, around Singapore.
that's
Basically.
great. Okay.
It's about me.
Hi, I'm Rachel. Actually, I was born in Malaysia. So I spent like the formative years in Malaysia with my grandma.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, like about 4 or 5 years before I came to Singapore to start like kindergarten.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so I play at longkang also.
Hey, wow.
I climb trees
Yeah.
until I came to Singapore at like 5, 6 years old.
Okay.
And then my life changed.
Amazing. Alright.
Yeah, I mean,
But when you say change for the better, I hope.
change not for the better. As in, like, I felt like that was a
I
dip
mean,
lah. I mean, like I enjoy the kampong days. It was a free childhood. I had. Yeah.
And what do you do now for work?
I am taking a cert in personal fitness trainer.
Oh, you're okay. Then we can talk after the shoot.
Yeah.
No, I'm kidding.
But I used to be a social worker.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, working with women with unsupported pregnancies.
Oh, wow.
So now actually I open my home to house like people.
That's amazing. Okay, we'll definitely get into that later. Amazing stuff. All right. Thanks for sharing.
I'm also listening and wow.
Yeah.
I grew up in Yishun.
Yishun.
Yeah, Yishun.
Notorious. Sorry. Am I wrong, guys?
Oh, it is notorious place, right?
Yes,
It's
it is.
safe. She'll tell you it's safer than you think. Is it?
Yeah, it is. My early years were with my grandmother in India. Yeah, but my mom and dad came from Malaysia and settled here.
Okay.
So we ended up having a place in Aiken, and so that was my neighborhood for a very long time.
Okay.
But yes, very notorious Yishun. So Naval Base Primary School,
Hey, wow, she called out the school.
Hokkien Park Secondary School, those were
Yeah,
the places to hang. North Point, very boring, North Point. But at that time, it was so happening, right?
Okay.
Yeah. Sometimes me and my friends would play underneath the block, Yeah, that was our childhood.
Nice.
Yeah.
And what do you do now?
Now I manage a school.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, just newly and learning and building muscles for it.
Nice.
Yeah, but I've been in the area of educating kids for the last 13 years.
Okay. Thanks for sharing, everyone. Because I had a bit of the post-kampong era, so I still was in a time where there was no smartphones, which were great. We were still running around, kicking footballs and playing catching lah. So I enjoyed a moment without the screens, and then I got slowly moved into technology.
Yeah.
I think my producer is laughing because they're like, me play football, but yes, I actually did.
play
I had
football.
my experience. Then I realized, this is not for me.
Yeah.
But anyway, today, as mentioned, is a topic close to my heart because I think seated at this table, we are all, not we, but my guests are all single parents.
Yeah.
And I come from a single parent family. So I think today our conversation will be centered around some of the pains and the joys of this journey. So I'd like to kick things off by asking, as far as you're comfortable, can you share with us how did you become a single parent? Yeah. And free for all.
Ladies first.
Watch the arrow lower.
I think there is not one incident that caused the decision for a divorce. I think it was like an accumulation of like a lot of frustration, resentment, disappointment, communication breakdown, you know, issues that we can't see eye to eye, and I've tried like all means to work on the marriage and make it work, but it didn't happen. So then when I asked myself, I came to a point where I asked myself that, can I see myself continuing to be in this relationship for the next 5 years or 10 years? My answer is no. Therefore, I make the move.
Yeah.
I see.
Yeah.
Was it, in terms of like have the children, was it a difficult conclusion?
It was a painful and difficult divorce process. It was contested. Yeah, there was no like question about whether I would take the children or not.
Yeah.
Because it was emotional abuse basically.
Okay.
So I definitely need and want to take the children, just
for
like
sure.
solely for myself.
Yeah. And you are a parent to how many children?
Two boys.
2 boys.
Yeah, 2 boys.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Nice.
Okay, for myself, to be honest, up to today, I do not know what's the reason that I became a single dad. Yeah, my ex just took off without telling me anything. The only thing that she said is, let her go. Keep asking me to let her go. I asked for a reason. I say, what actually happens and all these things, but she just couldn't answer me.
Yeah.
And just say that she just want out. Then I was like, what do you mean you want out? We have a family together, you know. It's like I have 4 children. Back then my oldest was just P4 and my youngest was like 4. Yeah. And so she took off. She came back. She would take more things, and then she just took off, and then I was basically quite lost. Just have to bite the bullet and then move on, because the 4 children are in a way under my care.
Yeah.
So
Wow.
that was 15 years ago.
Wow. And now your children, how old are they?
Oldest now is 24,
Yeah.
all 2 years apart. So 24, 22, 20, and 18.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh man, there's so much to unpack there, which I'm sure we'll get into, but yeah, that must have not been easy. Oh my.
Yeah, it's struggling, but I'm glad it's kind of over
Yeah.
to some extent.
The worst of the
Yeah.
episode is over. Yeah. I imagine you had to find closure for yourself, right? On your own.
The first few years, I was like very much wanting to know what has happened, right? But I couldn't I couldn't get an answer.
Yeah.
She didn't want to say, and even up to today. So, in a way, I have come to my own conclusion that I don't need to know now.
Absolutely.
Yeah. In fact, my youngest son, just about 2 years ago, they ever asked me, or is it last year, that what actually happened. So I told him I have no reason. I mean, I don't know the reasons. I have no answers for that. And he did ask the mom, and didn't get an answer too. Yeah.
Okay.
So, but I told him, I say, I have come to a point where I don't really need to know the answer anymore. Yeah, because I have to move on, and I have moved on.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And you moved on very well.
I wouldn't say well, I'm still, how to say, there are certainly challenges, yeah.
Yeah.
But emotionally, mentally, I would say definitely better than
Yeah.
when the divorce
Yeah,
happened.
for sure. I love how we all just put our utensils down to just be like, okay, yeah.
Yeah, I became a mom, unfortunately, through rape. I mean, as I share this, I would like to say that it has been very hard to share about this because I feel like it's a very difficult subject to approach, and then there's a lot of like, but what did you do? And then what happened? And who is this person? But it was someone that I met, unfortunately, in church. He was living a double life, and we had no idea, and none of my common church mates also didn't know. And he was very manipulative and very deceitful, and I just felt it, but I couldn't really put my finger on it, and he would. And so anyway, this person ended up forcing me down one time when we were dating, and it was a date rape. That was how it happened. And as I approached him about the situation, he seemed very iffy and weird about it, and eventually found out that he was actually married to somebody else in the States. And so, yeah, I mean, the initial period of discovering my pregnancy was very much, it had me have to really deal with some very deep things within myself. And that was, do I want to deal with this life that is growing inside of me?
Yeah.
Do I also want to honor this person that's growing inside of me? How am I going to do that? And how am I going to live successfully with this very terrible thing that has happened to me? And then presenting it to family, to friends, to my workmates, to church. That was so hard. They helped me through it. And also I had to seek my creator, in that sense, in dealing with some of these things that really required wisdom. I will never forget when I first found out, the first thing I did was pick up the phone of a pregnancy crisis shelter and say, what do I do? I'll never forget that call, because that was the first thing that kind of catapulted me into what was going to happen for the next 10 years. And I remember the voice on the phone, and she just said, "You've made the right decision. Come and see us tomorrow." And that really just kind of set me straight for the next, I would say, 9 months of conceiving my now daughter, who is 10 years old, and such a blessing.
Wow.
I'm so happy that you made that call.
Yeah.
I'm so glad.
Yeah. And thank you so much for sharing that.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I didn't think that it would trigger me
No,
again
not at
today.
all. Thank you so much
I've
for
shared this
sharing
like a
that.
few
Yeah.
times.
And I think that like beyond our conversation here, there'll be so many people that your story and your vulnerability would impact. So we really appreciate that.
Yeah.
What led you to the decision that you are now to keep the child? Or
I went to the gynecologist, and I went to really look at the pregnancy at that time, and the first thing that I looked at was her heartbeat. And that was the deciphering point for me. I don't know, it's about the heart, right? You see the flickering of the heart, and I didn't think that would persuade me, but it just did. Right. I didn't have this, nobody taught me about the sanctity of life at that point. Right. I didn't have friends who were going through that, or I didn't have people who were like, hey, if this happens to you, this is what you do. Yeah. So when that happened, I just kind of was like, I can't, do away with what is being given here. Like, I need to bring this to term.
Yeah.
and that was the decision. Every step of the way was very much sought with the voice of God, basically. Even to the point of deciding whether to keep her and take care of her or to give her up for adoption, which is also the other difficulty that moms who have kids out of wedlock will have to deal with, and it's very difficult.
Yeah. I'm sure now every day though you are reminded of your wonderful choice.
Yes.
And a blessing to have your child. Thank
Although
you.
still with all the challenges,
I'm sure.
sometimes
I'm
you
sure,
go,
yeah.
what did I do?
Yeah.
I would say one of the biggest things that has made a lot of it easy was community for me. Yeah.
Yeah.
And certain communities in different strides, they do certain things for you.
Yeah.
So,
How support really.
yeah.
That's amazing. Okay, I've again so much to unpack from everyone's journey, but I think maybe we can continue to share something a bit on a lighter note. So, what would you say are some of the joys of being a parent? I mean, you guys have been parents for, all of you over a decade now,
Yeah.
and we can start with maybe some of the joys about parenting. Is it all pain? No, right? You're just thinking, right?
Yeah. Okay, for me, because I have 4 children, right?
Yeah.
I think that the joy is really looking at their face when they smile again.
Oh.
It's like, and then,
Are you open to application? No, I'm kidding.
yeah,
sweet.
it's and also like the fact that when I'm there to witness every stages of their life, whether is it the happy moments or the sad moments.
Yeah.
Even though compared to the happy moments and the sad moments, probably the sad moment I'm not always there. Because as a father, I'm not very emotionally attached to them. Yeah, but to see their successes, to see their failures, to be able to be there, I think that warms my heart. Yeah, and that makes me feel like whatever I'm doing, it's really worth my efforts and my sacrifices. Yeah.
I imagine then as a dad as well, a single dad, you also need to take steps to be closer and more in tune to your emotions.
Yes. Well, that is how to say. It's actually very difficult. Yeah, being a man.
Yeah.
I suppress my feeling down so much just to survive. To so-called to go through each day.
Yeah.
But of course, there are moments when the divorce just started. There are moments that I will just cry. And then my kids will just come and gather me, Daddy, are you okay? And then they will hug me. And back then, like my 4 years old, they say, it's okay.
Wow, when they were 4.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
With that kind of like blessings, I get to learn that, I will probably have my blessings double portion. I don't have to share with my partner. In a positive way.
For sure.
Yeah.
For sure.
So that's how, in a way, kept me going.
Yeah. That's great.
I think more joy when they are younger.
Oh, okay.
I don't know.
Real talk.
Yeah, right, real talk.
Give it to
right?
us
Need to
as
be-
it is, yes.
I mean, of course, when they're younger, they are so cute. Their actions are like cute, and they say the dumbest things, right? That makes you laugh. And the honesty, you appreciate the honesty. And as they grow older, I find it more challenging to find joy. But when I see how they progress and grow their character as a person, that brings me joy. Yeah.
For me, the joys. I think just knowing that she's happy when we're going through the trenches with so many challenges, you just, I think, like you say, when they smile, children don't fake it. Like if they're happy, they're happy.
Yeah.
They're happy, and if they're upset, they're upset. So one of the things that I am learning now is that regardless of what society brings, I need to know that she's okay inside, and that she's comfortable and she's happy. Not that she's a brat, but that she's well adjusted. able to assimilate, able to deal with the different difficult things.
Yeah.
So that is the one thing that brings me joy. And like right now, I'm being launched into a new season where I'm very busy with work, and that's taking me over. And I'm watching her become very independent
Yeah.
and support me, support me in my career, in my job. Her going, Mom, I cleaned the house,
Oh, wow.
even if I didn't ask her to or wash the plates. And her doing that just because she understands that this is what will help me, is also what brings me joy and comfort and helps me get through the day if I had a hard day, let's say, and then come to her and then give her what she needs also. So
I love that.
it sounds cliched.
No, not
but
at all.
it comes with so much.
It's mostly cliche because it's true. It's true.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it
absolutely.
comes with-
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay, and now we can be a bit more specific. I'll kick the ball rolling, I guess. We can go into maybe some pain points or difficulties, struggles. So this one I think is a long list, but I'll kick things off. I think the struggles for my single parent I can identify now, definitely for her was finances. Yeah, I think that
Yep.
it was so hard for us growing up, and I grew up in ACS, so I was like, either y'all are very rich or I'm very poor, and turns out it's both. Both are true. So I found that like financially it was really tough. Things that were normal for other children were a bit more stretched for us lah. Yeah, and I think now as an adult, maybe one of the things that I'm more empathetic and understanding towards my mom is how, as much as yes, I was and am the center of her world, she also has her own needs, her own emotional needs, her needs to be loved, to be cherished, to be valued.
Yeah.
And I think that was very hard for her to meet while having me. You know, so there's a certain element of sacrifice, right?
Yeah.
Where you have to say like, I put aside my own maybe need to be loved and cherished and valued to raise my son lah. Yeah, so I was wondering, just on that note for you guys as well, what were some of the challenges of being a single parent?
Question.
Yes.
It's like you mentioned that now that you realize that your mom also has got like would love to be loved and
Yes.
stuff like that, right? How was that when you realized that?
Oh, late in my life, late.
Okay.
Maybe in my 20s.
Really?
Yeah. Like I really didn't understand how important it would have been for her. Yeah. The gravity of it lah. Yeah.
I asked because when the divorce came for me, I think the first thing my daughter said was she don't want a stepmother.
Oh, okay.
I was quite surprised. I said, what do you mean by you don't want? Then she said, she just don't want another mother. So it kind of like dawned upon me for a while until I realized what she meant.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh.
So at the age, they watch all those cartoons, like
where
the
step-parents are evil.
stepmother is very evil.
Yeah.
Yeah. But of course, later part, I did share with her because she was saying that, she'll be there for me, she don't want another mother, that kind of stuff. I told her, I said, yeah, but you will grow older, you have your own family, and you're going to have no time for me.
Right.
That kind of thing. So I tried to explain to her.
Did her statement make you decide, or you were still you left it open?
Actually,
Yeah.
her statement has a very big impact on me. After about 2 years or 3 years after my divorce, I started to kind of like get myself out from the pit, right? I started to open up and start to see people. Yeah. But because of her statement, it has made me feel like worried and scared to step into another relationship. So back then when I stepped into a relationship, I was like trying to hide. These 2 years when I think back, right, I realized that it has made me feel ashamed and not wanting my children to feel like, not safe.
Yeah.
Or worried,
Yeah.
So that is...
not easy, I can imagine. Yeah. to put yourself out there also,
Yeah.
and then to have your kids' consideration
Correct.
for what they've expressed.
I went really because yeah, I feel like my daughter is the same. Like I feel like she'll always say, "But I'm here, you know. You don't need anybody else. I'm here." I know, and I go, "Yeah, I know, you know."
But it's different.
It's different, and then so I after what happened to me, I went through my process of healing after which, and that took 5 years, and that it was trauma, and it was me being afraid of men, and it was me being afraid of dating again. It was me being afraid of the church, which is, you know, like very difficult. And then I became angry, you know, and then my anger turned into this feeling of like, I'm just gonna go do whatever I want, and there's sadness, but then there's this anger that comes from within because I felt angry that this person did this to me and gets to go scot-free from whatever responsibilities. And I was angry at God, you know. I was like, you could have just snapped your finger and dealt with this situation, but here I am, you know, and dealing with all the difficult things from the feeding to the caring to the finding a place to live to money, you know, like making sure that I was working so that I could put her through school and everything, and just doing it alone. And yes, community, and then also feeling like I don't want to make people's lives difficult, so I have to try and figure this out on my own. I was angry and then looking for help, and then I was like, maybe I should date, you know, maybe I should find somebody. And then social workers would say really nasty things to me like, maybe you should just go get married or marry a Singaporean man or this and that. And then, you know, these were the things that kind of made me feel more angrier, you know. And then after a while I mellowed down a bit, and I did see it as dating was shameful, you know, like should I even try to date? Like I mean, I was skeptical to go through that process again, and then at the same time I would have people go, hey, you're still young, you know, you can, you know, and then I'd be like, nah, I'm, you know. I really will say this, that I really did not feel like loved, you know. I feel everybody looked at my kid, but nobody was really looking at me.
Wow.
Yeah. I felt like if I were to approach the social workers, I was a case. Just a number in a system, looking for help. And then after which I gave up on the system and I had to resource on my own. And it drove me to seek out things that would help me feel loved, you know. And thankfully, because I have no vices, it led me into better places. I'm dating someone now. It's very serious. We're about to figure out marriage and things like that.
Wow.
The first thing,
Nice.
the first thing that she said to me was,
Who are the social worker?
no, my daughter.
Oh, sorry. Yeah.
You're angry, right?
Yeah, because
Angry
I
also.
was like holding on to like, what else are they saying? But anyway, yes, your daughter.
Yeah, but anyway, that social worker maybe cannot make it lah.
Not all social workers. Are
Yeah.
Our poor social worker.
She said, I'm so scared this person is going to take you away from me, you know. And I think I even went through this thing like, maybe she's still too young for me to do this. You know, maybe I shouldn't do this now. Maybe I should wait until she's 13 or something. But everything just kind of happened, you know. The pieces of the puzzle kind of just came together. I didn't even ask to be with this person. I thought that, okay, I'll just be a single parent forever. I'm happy, I'm fulfilled. Why even bother? Anyway,
When the doors are open for you,
yeah.
you just have to
They
enter,
fling
you know,
wide
yeah.
open.
You just have to walk
Basically.
straight through it.
Suddenly
Yeah.
I feel so hopeful. Yeah. I've been chronically single at 35, but yes, I'm gleaning hope from here. I think that I so appreciate you guys sharing that, because I think, you know, a lot of times when we talk about dating and all that, we think about it from a single yet to be married point of view.
Yeah.
And it's very confronting and in a very refreshing way to hear actually there is a segment of people who are still struggling with dating, you know, and it's hard to talk about, hard to bring to light. Yeah, so
And more so dating with a kid.
yeah.
And presenting that to that person. By the way, hi, I have a kid.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
then that person's like, ugh.
I think it's only very much in our society, like
Yeah.
Asian society.
Yeah.
If you look at the West, you know,
Oh, it's common.
Still very
Yeah.
taboo and like,
Yeah.
the blending
Why?
family is like so easy. I don't know.
Yeah.
Like when you watch on those movies.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it seems so easy.
Yeah.
But in our culture context, it's like
yeah.
Yeah, it's still not widely
Yeah.
accepted. Yeah. Rachel, for yourself,
I mean, I kind of echo what like Sarah shared about like people always ask about the kids, but they forget the parents. Yeah, they always tell you things like, oh, you know, you need to be strong for your children, how your children coping, you know, all that. Then, well, like, what about me? You know, I'm also coping with the loss, the grief, right? But nobody asks about like how we are coping. But we always have to be like strong for our children. Yeah. But I mean, for me, I feel like being vulnerable is with your children is also a strength. I mean, you don't have to like appear strong all the time that you have it all together, you know. I mean, you are human.
yeah. and I think that we will know, the kids will know, right? If you are just putting on a front,
Eventually, yes.
right?
I agree.
Or if you're just, if you're really.
they may not see it, but they can feel it.
Yes. Oh, I
Yeah.
love that. Yeah.
Yeah.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Were you angry with your mom or dad at one point?
Yes, I was. Yeah, I think we've done so much sort of like inner work and healing, but there really was a point I was very resentful because I blamed her for the very difficult situation that I was in. And I think all I could see was my pain, you know, and that's why I say it came late to me, because I'm like, you are the parent, you should provide. You should, like, it's not on me at such a young age. I don't know how to do these things, but I feel like I needed to grow up fast because of your shortcomings. And of course, it's at that point when I'm in pain, right, it's very harsh and it's very targeted. But over the years, I look back and I realized just how hard it was for her.
And what made you realize that, come to that realization?
One day, my aunt, we were flying, you know, I never took a long haul flight before, and my aunt was very nice. She brought me overseas, and she asked me on the plane, she said, do you love your parents? And for the first time, right, I couldn't give an answer, even though I knew the straightforward answer was, yes, everyone loves their parents, but I couldn't say yes. And then my aunt said, hey, you know, you're 21 now. At that time I was 21. Chances of your mom changing as she's older now might be slim. If you would like to work on this relationship, you probably have to be the one to change. So I started going like, you know what, my aunt is absolutely right, and I don't want to die, and I don't want my mom to die feeling like I don't have love for her. So I began to be a bit more compassionate towards her situation. I tried to put myself in her shoes a lot more. And I think the great thing about my mom is like she can also admit her mistakes. Yeah. And it helped lah. I remember there were a few instances where maybe she heard me in media, especially sharing quite honestly about our family situation, and then I remember she popped into my room and she said, I'm so sorry for all that you've been through, and can you forgive mom? So I think it's been like a lot of years of healing and understanding that, oh, it's my mom's first time as well, you know, and I think she grew up in a very different time where she was very she was looking for love, for someone to love her after her own parents passed away when she was young. Yeah, so I think all these things began to help me to be like, okay, I can let this anger go so that I can also have a good relationship with her. Yeah, thank you for asking.
Thanks for sharing.
I hope that none of you, I don't know if you guys might experience that phase where we might, as children, have that very limited belief lah. Yeah. On that note, I imagine when you guys were new parents, it was a very all or nothing, right? You had to put everything, in a sense, give up everything to step up to that role of being a parent. My question is, have you ever burned out from, in that sense, like neglecting yourself?
Yep.
And how did you then learn to find a better pace for yourselves as individuals and as parents?
Very interesting questions. I look at myself in the mirror one of the days 2 years back where it all started. I couldn't recognize him. I say, who is this? Yeah, and I enrolled myself to SUSS to do social work.
Oh, wow.
Realized that I think that's not for me.
Okay.
I switched to counseling.
Ah.
And these 2 years of learning about the traits and theories of counseling and all this, it just stirred all my emotions in an unconscious level all the way up to surface out. You know, I basically, like for example, last year I was basically crying for no reason, and I don't even know why I feel how I felt back then, like last year. Then I tried to reason in my mind and try to find an answer for it. I realized that actually all these are what I have been doing, suppressing it down, just because of to live out my daily life and taking care of my 4 children. My kids were asking, Daddy, are you okay? It's like all my emotional, very dark social posts in the media, that kind of stuff. Because I couldn't express, and as a photographer, I tend to use pictures and photos that I took to try and express it out. And I think a lot of my friends are very worried because when they see posts that are very negative and dark, because it's not what they know of me. I'm a very happy-go-lucky person in nature. But the 2 years of studies in counseling has gotten me in touch with my really deep down emotions. That this one over here, I've been thinking, I've been reflecting and asking and trying to so-called match what I've learned in theories and what I've experienced. To realize that I got a burnout last year. So I just couldn't do any more things for other people. Because all these 10 over years, like how I function was basically putting other people first. Now I'm learning to have a bit more of a self-care.
That's so good.
And ask myself and tell myself not to be too hard on myself.
That's so good.
Now that my kids are all, grown, right? They were like all telling me, Daddy, please do something for yourself. Daddy, please. For example, in July, I went for a trip. Not really a trip, but to settle my daughter in Adelaide. Then my number 3, my third child, right, son. So on the day when I was heading to the airport, he sent me a message, Daddy, I have transferred $300 to you. Please go and spend and treat yourself. I was like, wow.
Wow. That's so good. I love that you said that, because I think that there are so many dads who maybe have spent their whole life and they just suppress all their life, and they get out of touch with who they are because they have got a role. They have to provide, they have to, be the dad.
It's very much of our culture.
Yes.
It's like our culture has kind of like taught us how to be a man.
Yes.
A man cannot cry, a man must be tough, a man must provide. But actually, we're all humans.
Oh yeah.
In July, I made a journey wanting to support my daughter. And before she left, she wrote a letter for me. She wrote the letter and stating that I cannot blame how she is, because she's been brought up that manner whereby she's very, or rather not in touch with her emotion because of my example, right? So I told her, so I replied to her, I say, I'm not blaming you for who you are, but I think we need to learn to be more, to communicate in an open manner. To say like if you're angry, if you're not happy, you're not happy, and be respectful with each other. Yeah.
I love the healed dad. The post-counseling. That is beautiful. And thanks for sharing, I guess, like what we were talking about, your journey of really, you really burn out, you really lost your sense of yourself, and then you recovered
I
it.
lost my identity.
Yeah, and
basically.
but to see you now, it's like you are here, present. This is the you that you've recovered as well. Yeah. How about you, Rachel? Did you ever burn out?
Yeah, a lot of times.
A lot of times.
I actually find it very challenging to raise boys on my own. I mean, because of the different gender, right?
Yeah.
And people like to tell me things like, "Oh, you need to step up to be both the mother and the father." Because they need like male models, right, and role models.
But because you say that.
So you're not, because this advice have been given across, is it?
Because after after my divorce, right, I keep telling myself I need to be a mother at the same time a father.
Oh, you tell that to
I
yourself.
tell myself. But of course, I realize that I cannot be both.
Yeah.
I mean, now that he's 16, so he's like, oh, I'm becoming a man, like, but I don't have a father to like teach me how to be a man, that kind of thing. And so there are people who tell me things like, no choice, you got to step up, you need to be both the mother and the father. And for the longest time, I struggled because I'm like, how am I supposed to do that?
Yeah, how?
I mean, like, I'm a woman, I'm a mother.
Yeah.
I can fulfill some roles, but some things like you just can't.
And I also just want to acknowledge that, because I think in just everyday interactions, maybe that is so common, but now hearing it from your perspective, it's so unhelpful. In fact,
it's very unhelpful.
It's not helpful, plus it's very it makes this pressure.
The burden
It
is
puts
too
the pressure
big,
on you.
on the shoulder.
Yeah.
It's so much burden. Like you
Yeah.
have to have fun with them. You have to discipline
Yeah,
them.
yeah.
And like boys, like okay, they are growing up. You can't. You try to talk to them about like things like masturbation, sex, relationship,
Yeah.
or even like wet dreams or all that.
Yeah, yeah.
It's awkward, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's like tough.
What if I could ask you, like, there might be mothers or young single mothers who are watching this now, and they might have heard that advice, If we could like just have a word from someone who has been through it and who understands, what would you say to them who might be watching?
Be a mother. Just be yourself.
Wonderful, wonderful.
And that's where community comes in. Like, there are other people who can, correct.
Yeah.
Like, mentors
Yes.
that can also step up to fulfill that so-called that need.
That's so good. I
Yeah.
feel like a lot of people will really need to hear that.
Yes.
Yeah, that they don't have to try and measure up to this impossible role. Yeah, thank you for sharing that. Yeah, something so simple, right, but actually so profound. Yeah.
Quick questions.
Yes.
What about from the son's point of view?
Son's point of view.
Yeah, like because you don't have the father figure.
Oh,
People,
that's
tell
such
you
a good.
to, like,
Yeah.
now you are the man of the household. Because that's
Yeah.
what people tell my elder son.
Oh yeah, yeah. So that's also very unhelpful. Yeah, now you're the man of the household. I think already you feel like, wow, I didn't have a provider, I didn't have a dad, I didn't have a reference, and now I have to step up, right? It produced a lot of resentment. So I would say best not to tell our kids that lah.
Yeah.
But also it was very hard. Like it definitely felt like something was missing. And I think a lot of times, right, it showed up in ways that I didn't realize. So I think with not having or seeing less of my dad, you just don't realize what you're missing until you finally realize.
Yeah.
It's small things like there's always someone's dad, like when I come back from a trip, like their dad is there picking them out at the airport. It's these kind of small things that I look down, I'm like, oh, I don't have anyone picking up. I'm just supposed to settle this on my own. Wow, and saying this, recounting that actually makes my heart like sink a little bit, because there's that feeling of like, oh, there's no one to call when I'm back. I'll tell my mom like, okay, I'll take a Grab back, but that's how it is. And I remember when I was younger, I had when I asthma attack, and I knew that my mom had work the next day because she's a single mom, I would just go to the A&E by myself because I didn't want to wake her up, and I would go for the nebulizer treatment and settle my own asthma attack.
Wow.
And
How
be
old
like,
was it?
like secondary school, primary school, yeah, and I was so independent because I needed to be. I love what you said because I think my mom and I have this analogy that we are two drowning people, and the more we try and like expect that the other person can save the other person, it won't happen. So I had to recognize like, okay, I'm drowning, my mom is drowning, I cannot keep berating her and saying, hey, you're not doing good enough, you're not providing enough, you need to be my mom and my dad and my everything all in one, the perfect parent for me, because you put me in this situation. Then I realized, you know what, she's drowning also, maybe I'll get some help. I'll learn to regulate, I'll learn to stabilize, I'll try and make the money, and then I can offer some help to my mom. Yeah, so...
I hope my boys come to that one day.
Yeah,
They
yeah,
will,
yeah.
I'm sure they will.
I'm sure they will.
Because they are still very angry at this point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think that it might be a journey for them, but in this time when it's hard, my mom will tell you at your son's age, I slammed the door, I said F you to you and dad, you know, you ruined my life. I remember it was the worst, like she was crying and hanging the clothes and I would just scold her, and it was horrible, but I think at that time I felt very unheard, unseen. I felt like I was in a lot of pain. That's why I acted out. But eventually, like, I came around, and I also began to see my mom as human, as going through something very difficult. Yeah. And if they don't reach that point, you show them this video, then you say, okay, you call Aiken Koko, and you have a word with him. And maybe, maybe I can. Guys, please go easy on. Yeah, trust me, I've been there. No, yeah. Yourself, how about like
Burnouts.
burnout?
Yeah, quite a few. I remember them vividly because I remember also being rescued from it. Almost like, I remember the first time was my kid being in preschool and then me having to work and then needing support. So I hired somebody who would like be a nanny, and she didn't show up one day. And I had to like rush down and pick up my kid, and I was so exhausted after work, and I collapsed on the floor, and I couldn't speak, and I couldn't see for a while. I think it was I don't know, panic attack, or like I don't know what it was. I'm young, right? I'm only like 29 at that point. And I think I had already worked myself into the ground in terms of trying to make everything meet at the end of the day. I remember the principal of her preschool was someone who we knew. You know, I got my sight back in a way, and I called this person, and she came and she picked me up off the floor. Wow. Yeah, and she said, come to my house. And I remember when I was at her house, I was just sitting on the floor, and she fed my daughter, and I just sat on the floor and didn't speak for a while. And after I came to, she was like, you just sit there and be okay. She gave me something to eat, and then I went home. Then I realized I had a burnout. Again, when you go into single parenting, all of a sudden, nobody is there to guide you.
There's no manual.
No manual. And then with a young kid also, it's very difficult because they are going through their own thing. The other breakdowns that I've had were financial breakdowns. Just feeling the pressure of having, school fees for my daughter is just incredibly insane.
Yeah.
Because she is not a Singaporean at the moment, and we are struggling with that, and then having to deal with all of the other things that comes, that's another story for another day. And working through the national systems that are available to us and trying to work around it and look for help.
Yeah.
I didn't borrow money. I still don't. I don't take money from my parents. I don't lend money either. I just sort of just try to make it work, I cannot remember. The other breakdowns were mini breakdowns.
Yeah.
I think they were like breakdowns for, God, I'm so lonely. God, I wish I had help. God, just just deep cries, at night, or like when she was in bed, or like times when she would be sick, or and just having to work around it. Just those were the breakdowns that I've had. But I also wanted to like ask you, like, do you remember your mom breaking down?
Yeah, I do. I think
Did it scare you?
I love, like, I'm in the hot seat now also. Because I realize I'm the child, right? Then you're all other.
3 against 1.
Because my boyfriend, he grew up in a single parent house.
Yeah.
His dad was abusive and
Right.
alcoholic,
Yeah.
and he watched his mom take care of all the kids. And
He remembers, right?
He remembers,
Yeah.
and he tells me, and then he's also going through his own disconnect and not able to deal with emotions and things like that. And I see it, and I wonder how it will affect.
I think at that time, we like what you said, we feel it, but we don't maybe understand it fully.
Yeah.
Over time, it has given me a lot of perspective to go like, wow, actually my mom was going through so much when she was raising me. In that moment, it's always maybe the threat of attachment. So I think that as long as we're able to assure that I am present, I'm still here for you, even in my struggles, I think that was the attachment was the most important thing for me as a child. I think that I grew up very anxious because there were times where it wasn't her fault. Like, she had no choice. Like, she was having a breakdown, but she still had to go to work. So for me, it's like, oh no, something's wrong, and my mom's not here, and something's wrong with her.
Yeah.
But I think to assure the child of that attachment, like that, to foster that secure relationship would be very helpful. Even like maybe after the meltdown or after that incident, it would be very like calming and reassuring for the child. This is just based on what
Thank you.
I wish maybe like could have been more
Some,
present for myself. And on that note, I must say though, actually all 3 of you guys have not only continually be amazing parents, I'm sure, but in your own time, you have sort of pivoted and are doing meaningful things with your life. And I would just love to hear more about that. I mean, I think, Rachel, you were sharing that you open your house for women. I mean, that's amazing, right? It's not just, oh, I'm a struggling single mom, but you saw an avenue to be hope. So could you share a little bit more about that?
Yeah. I mean, as a social worker, I work with women largely, and I see the gap and the need. For the last 4 years, me and my 2 boys, we actually have moved 8 times in 7 homes.
Wow.
Yeah, and I mean, it sounds like, wow, so pathetic lah, or you have to move so many times. Yeah, it's a lot. But I felt like during this whole journey, me and my boys have received the help of community, like people who open their homes to welcome us, whether it's 10 months, 1 month, 1 week, 2 weeks, or just every weekend they open their homes for us. I don't think we could have survived without the intervention of community. Community is really the answer. Like kampong days, and because of that, I see the need, the gap, and I want to be able to be there to fill the gap.
Social workers are also being overworked, I will say. And then that they have no time to even check in on you sometimes. To see if you're alive or dead in there.
And sometimes, a person in crisis, they maybe just need to plug them out of that circumstances, put them in a place of safety and stability so that they can calm their mind and they're able to think.
And then they can
find solution and resources, right? There can be many resources out there, but the person in crisis, she cannot think, right? She needs to get to safety, or she needs to get out of that situation so that she can have the presence of mind to how to move forward.
Really, that's all you need. That night I need to go to a place. That night, the next 6 months I need to know I'm safe, my child is safe. It helps so much mentally before we seek the next avenue of help, etc.
And it's really to show that, hey, we are not in this journey alone. That really helps a lot.
And I was gonna say that I think beyond the breakdowns, your sons are going to remember this part about you, you know. I think one of the things that my mom is for sure is when we were so broke, she would want to send money to the orphanage in Nepal. And I will scold her, you know, I'll be like, excuse me, the orphan is here. So how about you don't send the money there and you put it back here? What are you doing? But now as I've grown and, you know, as much as I want to find fault with her, I go like, wow, my mom is so generous. She was so generous. Even when we had nothing, she gave. I'm giving because I have something. But my mom, when we had nothing, she gave people, you know. So
Sounds like an amazing woman.
yeah, and really credit to her. So I really think that, you know, as much as we talk about burnout and stuff, the good, these are things that we can't deny as children, and we will learn from our parents. So I try and be generous because I've learned that from my mom. So on a very practical level, what are some challenges a single parent might face raising a child in a normal school system, education system? Do you feel seen and supported by...
I think as a single parent,
Yeah.
I will say that I feel incredibly unseen.
Okay.
I don't know, it's, I mean, there's a lot being done now, I would say. I say Singapore is a great place, you know, I'm thankful that I'm here. I'm a PR, by the way. So there's a lot of perks there, and I've been a PR for 30 odd years, you know, and I think that Singapore is a great country. You know, if you were a single mother in India or where it's difficult. So I'm grateful. Having had already tried to resource and look for help with our wonderful MPs, and not being able to have them see us and recognize that I'm not a mom who is on the wayside taking drugs and drinking alcohol and wasting my money. I'm really working very hard. I just can't do $700 a month for school fees. That will eat into everything, about a third of my pay, and then have to finance my house and feed her and things like that. So just being told like, I'm so sorry, we can't do anything for you because you're not Singaporean, it was hard. I'm dealing with it now by being more resourceful and making sure I'm a manager and get more money. But I wish that they had seen us, you know. I think it would really help if people would look at it really case by case. Really look at the mother. What's going on in their lives? What are they doing? What are they resourcing for on their own?
Yeah, as opposed to just black and white
and
sometimes,
then just be
right?
like very,
Maybe even Singaporean parents, are there any struggles that maybe we're not aware of or the regular folk do not know?
I mean, I guess for myself, having to raise four, to pay for their school fees and all this, of course, in the government sector, it's not as high as yours. For myself, I'm thankful that I was able to apply financial assistance.
Okay.
I mean, can you imagine, every year they have to buy textbooks and all these things, even though most of the time I get from like second-hand, hand-me-down and all stuff. It's no joke actually to buy textbooks if you don't have support. You can probably have to pay like a couple $100, you know, uniforms, textbooks and shoes and school shoes and all these things. I can feel you.
Thank you so much for sharing today. It's been so wonderful, and it's so nice to hear from you guys. I salute your journeys, really. And as a child of a single parent, I have some idea of how difficult it is. I really appreciate you guys for not giving up. How do you be kind to yourself if you are a single parent?
For me, I think it's the little things that you do for yourself. I mean, like you mentioned just now, as parents, when you first become a parent, you almost sacrifice like all of yourself or everything, right down to the food. I mean, I remember when my children were young, I can make pancakes, but then like I will make like very nice pancake art for them, but then I'll eat the scrapes. You know, even simple things like that, or like you just leave the best part of like maybe the chicken for them. But as I went through the journey, I've learned to like, hey, you know, think about myself first. If a friend gives me maybe a bar of chocolate, dark chocolate, I actually hide it somewhere in the fridge.
It's always
around.
But initially when I tried doing that, I feel guilty. I have to tell myself that, Rachel, it's okay. It's a bar of chocolate. You
Yeah.
can just save it for yourself.
Yeah.
You don't have to share with your children.
Yeah, I love that. I love that.
Yeah.
This is for me and it's okay.
Yes, it's
Yeah.
okay.
For me?
Yeah.
It is the little things. So I go to the gym.
Yeah, and that's for me,
I
right?
ditch
Yeah.
I ditch my kid at home.
Okay. That's great.
I used to feel really guilty about doing that as well, and shamed, feeling shamed for it. But then I just and but of course my kid is older now. I'm not recommending this for moms with young kids, please.
You can find a friend.
Find someone to look after your kid and then go.
Just to create a time and a space for yourself.
Yeah, and then really just taking care of my physical body and here
Yeah.
Yeah.
for me,
sure.
my
If
mental
you feel
state, what I
sad,
say to myself.
Yeah. I think that's very important.
Yeah.
There are times where I just say, hey, I just need ice cream. I'll just go downstairs alone, go to the mama shop, buy myself ice cream and sit down at the playground, or somewhere nearby and just enjoying that little break, But other than that, in the past, what I did was, I'm guilty of ditching my kids.
Oops.
Yeah.
It's fine. It's fine.
No, because I don't know how to handle,
Yeah.
and I just felt that I needed to run out.
Yeah.
I just feel that I
Cannot take it already.
Cannot take it. So back then, what I did was,
And you have 4.
yeah,
Oh my.
Yes, I was
Yeah.
gonna say 4 kids.
and
I mean, I was number 4, so I know.
Yeah.
so what I did was, like early in the morning, I can just out of nowhere take my passport and drove to Malaysia. I'll just take a long drive,
Yeah.
quiet it out in a car
Yeah.
with the loud music, and then after that I just cry because that's where the only outlet I have.
Yeah.
As in, like, I can't possibly drive in Singapore. Is every
Every
traffic light, I don't know, less than 5 minutes, you have to stop and then you cry.
Yes,
Then
yes,
imagine the car next to you. That's like, what is
Yeah,
happening
what's
to the
happening?
guy?
Yeah.
That kind of thing. So I needed that, and so I was guilty of that.
Yeah.
But I won't suggest that for any parents. I would say try and get any helps you can from friends, from relatives, from anyone to even just come and babysit your children
Yeah.
for that 1 hour,
Yeah.
an hour, 2 hours is good. But for
And
me,
it's healthy for them
yeah,
to develop like other
correct.
relationships.
Yeah. For me back then it was like I felt that I just have to take in everything myself.
Yeah.
Do it all.
Yeah, do it everything. I shoulder,
Take it all.
shoulder, and then the weight and everything. So I don't know where to go and seek help.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like you were talking about, you all mentioned about the agencies and all this. To be honest, I don't know where. You know, even if I were to seek help, they will have like to go through all the channels before they come to you.
Yeah.
But I needed help now.
Yeah.
That kind of thing. So a lot of struggles.
Yeah. Thank you guys for sharing. I think that in what I'm hearing a resounding yes to is take time for yourself.
Yeah.
Take things for yourself. Take food for yourself. I mean, there is a part of that that is yours, and when you are nourished, healthy, healed, right? I think that helps with the parenting as well. Yeah. I think there's a fine line between like neglect versus like, okay, I'm taking time for myself, right? So once again, thank you guys. I think this topic we can talk until all day. So I appreciate you coming here, and maybe we should have an episode, 4, 5, 6 next time. Yeah, thank you guys.